I wrote down all of my memories shortly after Elvis passed away. It was just my way of holding on. You know, I wanted to hold on and not forget.
Decades after Elvis Presley left this world, his ex-fiancée has finally come forward to reveal what she saw inside Graceland's secret rooms that were never shown to the public. These weren't just private. They were off-limits, mysterious, and filled with things no one was ever supposed to find. What she shares now will make you see the mansion in a completely different way. Could there be more to Elvis's story hidden behind those doors? Join us as we explore a deeper side of Elvis's life that will leave you speechless. Elvis Presley's ex-fiancée. Ginger Alden was once connected to one of the most famous names in music history. Born on November 13, 1956, at the United States Naval Hospital in Millington, Tennessee, she grew up in a military family. Her father worked in public relations for the United States Army. From a young age, she stepped into the spotlight by joining beauty pageants and slowly building a career in modeling. She carried herself with confidence and grace, which helped her move forward in the world of entertainment. Her life changed in a big way when she reconnected with Elvis Presley. She had actually met him once when she was only 5 years old, but years later, at the age of 20, their paths crossed again. At that time, Presley had recently broken up with Linda Thompson. Ginger and her sisters were invited to visit Graceland, and that visit quickly turned into something much more. She found herself drawn to him almost instantly, and the attraction seemed mutual. From that day on, her world started to revolve around him. Their relationship moved fast. Within 2 months of dating, Presley proposed. The diamond ring he gave her had been part of his TCB stage ring, and it stood out not just for its size, but also for what it meant. He had only ever proposed to one other woman, Priscilla, who had been his wife before their divorce. The wedding date was set for December 25, 1977, but fate had other plans. Their romance, although short-lived, became intense very quickly. From Ginger's point of view, she had found the person she had been looking for. She believed she was finally with someone who truly understood her. However, people around Presley didn't feel the same way. His inner circle, known as the Memphis Mafia, didn't warm up to her the way they had accepted others before. They believed she didn't fit in, and didn't share the same kind of bond Presley had once had with Linda Thompson. Despite their doubts, Presley seemed sure of his decision. She wrote later that Presley had told her he had been searching for love for a long time. The way he proposed, holding the ring behind his back in a green velvet box, was something she would never forget. She saw their time together as filled with deep emotion and believed that their bond was rare. But those close to Presley continued to feel worried. His father, Vernon Presley, reportedly said that even Elvis himself didn't seem certain about the marriage. When asked about their wedding plans, Presley had given vague answers, showing hesitation. Whatever might have happened later never got the chance to unfold. Presley passed away suddenly of heart failure on August 16, 1977. Just like that, everything ended before it truly began. Ginger was the one who found him that morning. For many, his demise became linked with troubling images and wild stories. Some said he passed away in a messy state, alone and disconnected. But Ginger tried to push back on those views. In her words, he was hopeful in his final hours. He seemed eager to take charge of his life again. She also spoke openly in her memoir, Elvis and Ginger, about what went on behind the scenes. She described moments that showed a darker side to Presley. According to her, he once hit her but later apologized. She also wrote that he had fired a gun at a TV and thrown food in anger when they had a discussion about weight. These details revealed parts of his life that had been hidden from the public. Still, Ginger remained focused on how she had seen him in his final days, trying to make changes, wanting to get back on stage, and feeling excited about the future. Even though she had shared her life with him during such a personal time, not everyone accepted her presence. After his passing, Presley's uncle, Vester, told reporters that the family didn't recognize her. He even said she had used Presley's name for her own benefit, adding more tension to the way people viewed her. After all the attention faded, Ginger slowly moved forward with her life. She returned to work in modeling and acting, trying to stay strong despite the criticism and the pain of her loss. She tried to build a new life away from Presley's shadow. A welcome to the public. On August 16, 1970, Elvis Presley was found unresponsive in the bathroom of his home at Graceland. He was just 42 years old. At first, the cause was said to be a heart problem, but later tests told a different story. His system had been filled with a mix of hard substances, 14 of them in total, and some were found in very large amounts. His health had been getting worse for some time, but most people didn't expect him to pass that way, so suddenly and without anyone near him. After his passing, his body was placed in a heavy copper-lined coffin that weighed nearly 1,900 pounds. The casket was placed near the entrance of Graceland so fans could come in to see him one last time. More than 3,500 people made their way through the house that day, walking slowly to pay their respects. 2 days later, a private funeral was held inside the mansion. Around 200 close family and friends attended the ceremony. The whole house felt heavy with emotion as everyone tried to deal with the loss. Graceland didn't lose its life after Elvis passed away. It continued to stay active with members of his family still living there. His aunt Delta moved in after her husband passed and stayed in the house until she passed away in 1993. Elvis had invited her years before, hoping the house would bring her some comfort. In that same year, Elvis's only daughter, Lisa Marie Presley, became the official owner of Graceland when she turned 25. She now held the keys to the place her father had built with so much care. Not far from the house sits the meditation garden, where Elvis was laid to rest. His parents, Gladys and Vernon Presley, were buried there too. His grandmother, Minnie Mae, was also placed nearby. Lisa Marie's son, Benjamin Keogh, was buried there as well many years later. Even Elvis's stillborn twin brother, Jesse Garon, has a memorial stone there to honor his memory. The garden became a symbolic part of the estate, open to visitors who come to reflect before or after their tour. It's a space that many treat with respect, and it holds the heart of the Presley family. After Elvis's demise, his father, Vernon, was left in charge of the estate, but his time was short. He passed away in 1979, just 2 years later. Vernon had passed the responsibility to Priscilla Presley, Elvis's former wife. She now had to handle everything for their daughter, Lisa Marie, who was still a child at the time. Running the estate wasn't easy. Graceland was costing $500,000 a year to keep up. Much of Elvis's money had already been spent, and Lisa Marie's inheritance had dropped to about $1 million. Bills kept piling up. People started to talk about selling Graceland just to cover the growing costs. Priscilla didn't want to let go of the house. She began to look around and study how other historic places had survived. She saw that some homes had been turned into public museums and thought maybe Graceland could do the same. She brought in Jack Soden as CEO, and together they made plans to open the mansion to visitors. It was a big decision, but they went ahead with it. On June 7, 1982, Graceland welcomed the public for the first time. In just 1 month, the estate had earned back all the money spent on preparing it for visitors. The plan worked better than expected. What had once been a private home now became a major tourist destination. Priscilla stepped in as chairwoman and president of Elvis Presley Enterprises, keeping things running until Lisa Marie was old enough to take over. Over time, the estate grew in value, eventually being worth more than hundreds of millions of dollars. Each year, on the day Elvis passed away, thousands of fans travel to Graceland for what's now called Elvis Week. The event includes fan gatherings, special talks, and a memorial mass at St. Paul's Church. The most powerful moment comes during the candlelight vigil. People move through the estate at night, carrying candles and walking toward Elvis's grave. In 1997, on the 20th anniversary, news outlets from around the world showed up for the remembrance service. In 2002, the 25th anniversary brought around 40,000 people, even though the rain didn't stop falling. In 2015, for the 38th anniversary, about 30,000 visitors came to the vigil. By 2017, the 40th anniversary was expected to bring at least 50,000 people. That year, for the first time, a small fee was charged, $28.75, to help with extra security because the crowds had grown so large. For many fans, visiting Graceland is more than just a simple trip. They see it as something they have to do. Some save money for years just to make their way there. Once inside, they put on headphones that guide them through Elvis's story. They walk through rooms that hold his guitars, his clothes, his awards, and many other things that once belonged to him. The house shows every part of his life, not just the good moments, but also the times when things fell apart. It gives people a real picture of who he was, 536 to 546. When visitors get to the meditation garden, many stop to pray or bow their heads. Some sing his songs, others leave flowers, pictures, or handwritten notes. The wall around the estate is full of messages from fans. Some share their love, others write about how Elvis helped them through tough times. His image continues to live on, not just through his music and films, but through the love of people who still feel connected to him. Graceland even today holds on to that connection. But that's not all there is to it. The secret part of Graceland. Graceland was once full of energy before Elvis Presley's life came to an end. The mansion often welcomed visitors who were either close friends or part of his family. Some of them stayed for a short while others were invited to live there. A few stayed in smaller guest houses near the main building, but many were lucky enough to be allowed inside the big house itself. Anyone who stepped inside could easily feel how much the house matched Presley's character. From the bold colors to the stylish furniture, every corner seemed to speak about who he truly was. Even though the doors of Graceland often opened for special people, there was one part that always stayed shut. The second floor of the house was Elvis's private world. That space was different from the rest of the mansion. It was where he went when he wanted to shut out the noise around him. He kept his bedroom and personal space up there. Only a few people ever got to see it, and only when he gave permission. That space gave him something he couldn't find elsewhere, a chance to pull back and just be himself. After Presley passed away, Graceland didn't stay a private place for long. Slowly, the house began to change. It stopped being just a family home and turned into a museum. From that moment on, people from all over the world came to walk through the famous rooms. They came to feel close to the man they admired. Tourists moved from room to room, taking in the carpets, the decorations, the trophies, and the style of every detail. But they always reached one point where the path stopped. The staircase that led to the second floor stayed closed and untouched. No visitor was allowed to go up. That area remains a part of the house that feels frozen in time. Some believe it was kept this way to show respect. Others think the reason is deeper. That space includes the room where Elvis passed away, inside the bathroom just beyond his bedroom. Because of this, the area holds a deep significance. Letting people walk through it might make the home feel more like a place of tragedy instead of a celebration of his life. It would take attention away from his achievements and pull focus toward a sad ending. Over the years, only a small number of people have gone upstairs. Lisa Marie, in particular, had strong feelings about the space. To her, it wasn't just part of the house. It was a personal link to her father. It held memories that she didn't want to share with strangers. Even as Graceland turned into a museum visited by thousands each year, she made sure that the second floor remained protected. That part of the house stayed with the family, away from the tours and crowds. Still, there was one exception. During his short marriage to Lisa Marie, actor Nicolas Cage was given a rare chance to go upstairs. A fan of Elvis since childhood, Cage stepped into the private rooms that most fans only dream about. He got to see the space where Elvis lived his final days. Though he never spoke in great detail, it was clear the experience meant a lot to him. But even after that, the rooms were locked once more, and no one else was allowed in since then. The mystery around the second floor has only added to Elvis's lasting image. It leaves a part of his story hidden, still tucked away behind closed doors. That choice to protect the space keeps something special about him intact. In 2006, Graceland was officially honored as a National Historic Landmark. It was a way to recognize how deeply Elvis shaped American music and culture. Graceland had become more than just a place where he lived. It grew into a symbol of everything he stood for and everything he left behind. Today, Graceland remains one of the most visited private homes in the country. Over 600,000 people walk through its gates every year, but they always stop at the same point, the staircase that goes up. The second floor remains the most personal part of Elvis's world. It still keeps a piece of him that no one can take. It holds the last bit of space that hasn't been explored by the public. While the rest of Graceland now welcomes the world, that upper floor remains closed off, holding on to something real, something that once made him feel at home, the business side of Graceland. Graceland has always drawn people in, not just because it was once Elvis Presley's home, but because it holds many memories from his life. Over time, the estate has grown and added more features, making it easier for fans to connect with the world he left behind. One of the biggest changes to Graceland came with the addition of a large exhibit area known as Elvis Presley's Memphis. This section gave a fresh look to the estate. It brought new energy and let people explore more of Elvis's life and interests. Inside this space, there is a special museum called Presley Motors. It shows off a large number of cars that Elvis once owned. His well-known pink Cadillac is part of the collection. All the vehicles have been carefully looked after, showing how much he enjoyed driving and collecting them. Each car tells a story about the time he spent behind the wheel and the joy he found in traveling with style. People walk around them and get a close view of the cars he once rode in. It adds more to the picture of how Elvis lived and moved around. In the same complex, visitors can experience something different through sound. Sirius Satellite Radio built a studio right on the property. It plays Elvis's music all day and all night on a special channel made just for him. His voice can be heard in the air, filling the space with music that never stops. Also, close to the museum, two large airplanes remain on display. One is the Lisa Marie, a Convair 880 jet, and the other is Hound Dog 2, a Lockheed Jetstar. These jets stand near the rest of the complex, showing how much Elvis loved to travel in luxury. In 2005, Lisa Marie Presley made a major decision about her father's estate. She sold 85% of the business part, but kept the Graceland mansion and most of Elvis's personal things. She left the management in the hands of CKX Inc., a company with roots in the entertainment world. The firm also owned the show behind American Idol. Priscilla Presley became involved too, sitting on the company's board. The goal was to keep Graceland running without losing its close link to Elvis's life. Later, the business changed again. A group called Graceland Holdings LLC took control of most of Elvis Presley enterprises. Joel Weinshanker became the new leader of the group. Even though most of the business had been sold, Lisa Marie's estate still kept 15%. That small part helped her family hold on to a voice in decisions and made sure that the spirit of Elvis stayed protected through the years. In August 2018, something personal and special was added to the mediation garden at Graceland. It was Gladys Presley's headstone. The headstone had both a cross and a Star of David on it, showing Elvis's care in designing it. It had been stored in the archive for years, but now it was placed beside the Presley family graves. It gave people another piece of history to take in when they walked through the garden. In 2019, Graceland's future faced some trouble. The owners planned a big expansion worth $100 million. They needed support from the city of Memphis to move forward. When things got tense, they warned that they might move Graceland elsewhere. This got the city's attention. The Memphis City Council came together and agreed to a deal that would help through tax incentives. This decision let the project move forward and kept Graceland in Memphis, where it belonged. More trouble came in May 2024. Graceland was suddenly listed for a foreclosure sale. A company claimed that Lisa Marie had used the estate as a guarantee for a loan worth $3.8 million in 2018. Her daughter, Riley Keough, took action. She said the papers were fake and went to court to stop the sale. Elvis Presley Enterprises stood by her side. In the courtroom, a judge ruled that the loan documents were not valid. The lender didn't even appear at the hearing. NBC News looked into the company that made the claim, called Nosani Investments and Private Lending. They couldn't find solid records about the company or the man named Gregory E. Nosani who was supposed to be behind it. Things took a darker turn when it was discovered that a group of identity thieves from Nigeria were linked to the case. One of their leaders claimed, in an email to the New York Times, that their group placed members across the United States who targeted estates of people who had passed away. This group had even filed another claim in a California probate court, saying Lisa Marie owed them $2.8 million. The case caught public attention because of Elvis's name. Many experts said that if the Presley family had not been involved, the fraud might have gone unnoticed. No proof was ever found that the company really existed. Despite everything that happened, the estate itself remained untouched. Now, Graceland is still owned by Lisa Marie's daughters, Riley Keough and the twins Harper and Finley Lockwood. They own the mansion and the original 13 acres around it. They also have all of Elvis's personal items, his clothes, awards, furniture, and cars. Before she passed in 2023, Lisa Marie made sure that everything would stay open to the public. Her careful planning allowed her father's memory to continue through the halls of Graceland, where every room and every object still reflects the man who once lived there. Interestingly, there's a larger story behind Graceland and how it all came to be. The progression, how Graceland was built. The land that later became known as Graceland once belonged to Stephen C. Toeuf. He was a successful businessman in Memphis who owned one of the oldest printing companies in the area. He had worked in the newspaper field before starting his own business. The land was named after his daughter Grace, who received it in 1894. It stayed in the family for a very long time and held many memories. Sadly, Grace passed away and her niece, Ruth Moore, took control of the whole property. Ruth Moore was known in Memphis society. She and her husband, Thomas Moore, decided to build something meaningful on the land. In 1939, they built a large mansion in the colonial revival style. It was designed by the architectural firm Furbringer and Ehrman. The house stood proudly in the middle of the countryside, far from the city. It measured over 10,000 square feet and sat on open farmland surrounded by trees. The property felt removed from city life, offering privacy and space. Many years later, Elvis Presley was rising fast in the music world. By 1956, he had become a major star. At that time, he was still living with his parents in a small home on Audubon Drive in Memphis. The house had cost $40,000, and it had worked for a while. But as his fame grew, fans started showing up every day trying to catch a glimpse of him. Crowds began to gather outside his house, causing problems for the neighbors. The situation got out of hand quickly, and the area couldn't handle the growing attention. Elvis wanted a new place. He told his parents, Vernon and Gladys, to look for a home that had a country feel to it, with space around it and no close neighbors. He gave them a budget of $100,000 to work with. They started searching, and soon they found the Graceland estate. At that time, it was still outside the city, located in southern Shelby County. In March 1957, Elvis bought the property for $102,500. The large house and open land fit exactly what the family needed. The mansion was big enough for everyone, and the land gave them the space they wanted. In the years that followed, the city of Memphis grew. More homes and buildings started to pop up near Graceland. What had once been farmland slowly became part of the city, but the estate still felt separate. For Elvis, it was a place where he could live comfortably and stay away from the constant attention. Friends came to visit. He often spent time on the porch with them, taking pictures and looking out across the land. Although the house brought him happiness, it also became a place where he felt loss. In 1958, his mother Gladys passed away. She had meant a great deal to him, and her passing left a deep mark. His father later married Dee Stanley in 1960, and she moved into the house along with her children. But the change in the family didn't bring comfort. Elvis did not get along well with his stepmother. Dee made changes in the house, including replacing furniture and decorations that had belonged to Gladys. These changes upset Elvis. One day, he decided to make a big move. A van came to the estate, and everything that belonged to Dee was packed up. Her furniture, her clothes, and even her pets were taken away. Vernon, Dee, and her children were moved into a different house just down the road on Dolan Drive. Elvis wanted Graceland to feel the way it once had, and he did what he thought was necessary to get back that feeling. It was where Elvis lived through some of his happiest times, and also where he faced his hardest moments. His cousin Billy Smith and Billy's wife Jo stayed there often. Elvis would talk with them late into the night. Sometimes, after having a bad dream, he would go to their room and stay with them until he felt better. One room in the house became very special to him: the jungle room. It was filled with wild colors, different patterns, and strange furniture. Some people thought it didn't look nice, but Elvis loved it. Every year during Christmas, the family would gather at Graceland. It remained a place full of memories, especially for Lisa Marie. Even when Elvis was far away from home, he kept Graceland in his thoughts. Whenever he stayed in a hotel, his team would set up his room to look like the ones he had back at the mansion. They brought his furniture, arranged it just the way he liked, and made everything feel like home. It helped him rest. He knew that even while traveling, he could still be surrounded by the things that brought him comfort. Graceland became much more than just a house. It was a place that kept his story alive, holding on to everything he had been through from the start of his journey to the very end. What are your thoughts on the secret part of Elvis Presley's mansion? Do you think there's a reason for keeping it private? Let us know your views in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe to this channel. Before you go, watch the other videos on your screen.